Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and every year we get a new iOS update. If everything continues like it has for the past many years, we should see iOS 15 this year. And so Apple started with iPhone OS, then eventually iOS, and we're all the way to iOS 15, which is incredible. And there's been some huge changes and not some big changes along the way. And so I wanted to talk about when to expect it to be released, also supported devices, and some recent leaked information about what to expect with iOS 15. Now, the first thing is the supported devices. Now, of course, we're going to expect the latest phones like this iPhone 12 Pro Max to get this update. But some information suggests that only iPhone 7 and newer will get iOS 15. Now, that would mean that iPhone 6s Plus, iPhone 6s, and iPhone SE will no longer be supported, which would be kind of interesting given that I think they could probably handle the update unless there's something significant in it that it could no longer support the processors in these devices. But we'll have to wait and see, as Apple has not confirmed this. This has been leaked information and it could change at the last minute. These devices have been supported a very long time, 5 to 6 years at this point, and so with the SE and the 6s Plus, for example, it's possible we could see extended support. But at this point, I don't think we will, and this would be the last version of the iPhone with a headphone jack, and it would no longer be supported if this information is correct. So you would have to have an iPhone 7 like this or newer, and at some point, of course, year over year, they drop support for older devices. We didn't see that with iOS 14, surprisingly. And that extends to the iPads as well. So an iPad Air 2, iPad Mini 4, and iPad 5th generation would no longer be supported. So if you have an iPad Mini 2, it may no longer be supported with iOS 15. Of course, we'll have to wait and see, but that would mean we would see some graphical improvements that these devices just could no longer handle efficiently. So hopefully we'll see extended support, but until we know the release date, we won't know for sure from Apple. And what that means is every year around June, we have the Worldwide Developer Conference, or WWDC. And so if we go to the calendar, in the calendar, every year, usually the second week of June, Apple holds WWDC. Now, it got pushed back a little bit last year with 2020 being the way it was. We got pushed back a little bit, but generally the second to third week of June will have WWDC, and they'll show off the next version of iOS, macOS, iPadOS, watchOS, as well as tvOS, and maybe even something new. And so with iOS 15, generally we can expect them to announce new features with it, as well as when to expect the beta, which is usually that same day. Sometimes the following day we'll have public betas, or sometimes we won't have public betas for the next couple betas, maybe a month out. So it just depends year over year what they're going to do, but generally we're going to have it the same day. So I would say if I had to pick maybe the 14th of June that we should see a beta release. And then we'll have consistent betas throughout the months all the way until September, where they'll announce the next iPhone 12s or iPhone 13 with the release date of iOS 15. So generally we'll have from June until September to have betas and then a public release in September. That's usually what Apple does every single year. So with that release, there's a few things we can expect, or at least according to iHack2 Pro and some others out there that have said we could have a couple different things. One of them being interactive widgets. Interactive widgets would be really nice. With iOS 14, Apple introduced the widgets, and the widgets are nice to have different updated information, but they don't update in real time. They update every so often based on how the developer sets it, and they also don't have interactive widgets. So maybe you're using music, for example, and you want to slide the volume up and down. You can't do that. And in the future versions, hopefully we'll see that. And according to this information, we should see that. We should also have some different size for widgets other than what we have now. So we have a few different sizes. Maybe we'll have some in-between sizes. So we've got this size, we've got this medium size, and we even have a huge size with news. So we may see something completely different with that in future updates. So iOS 15 may bring big customization to those updates or to those widgets. Now, also it's said that we will have an always-on display that will be hardware dependent of, say, iPhone 13. So an always-on display looks like this. This is at a Pixel 5, for example, or it would give us the time, the date, and maybe our battery information along with notifications. And those notifications would be interactive from the display like they are now, but this sort of shifts this information around so it doesn't cause burn-in in the display, and hopefully we'll see something like that with iPhone. And I don't know that the always-on display really has anything to do with hardware other than saving battery, where Apple could ramp the display up and down like they do with the Apple Watch, where the hertz would affect that. So I would look forward to an always-on display according to that information. Also, there's said to be a new settings page, meaning settings could change. It could be more settings, maybe for some new features, or maybe just a reorganization of it where general and say some of the features in here make more sense. For example, something I would really like to see is you have to scroll down to get your camera settings. So you go into camera, then you can change your video recording, and they've made some of this available through the camera app, but most of it is available through a separate settings app. And I understand this, but it would be great to have a shortcut to this from the app, for example. And there is information saying that this will change a little bit. So hopefully we'll see something along those lines. Also, it's said that we'll get some refreshed notifications to go along with that lock screen I talked about. So notifications, they're pretty nice now where they're kind of separated into these different things here, and we can swipe them off the screen and clear them if we want, or clear all here. But some better interactions with these notifications, or maybe categorization of these notifications, would be welcome. And I would like to see them maybe pop in order that they come in a little bit better and maybe be more prevalent on the screen. Something like that they could make them a little more interactive, I think, along with those widgets. Now, along with that, there's said to be app refreshes, and that seems to make sense. We're seeing some of that with iOS 14 betas, for example, app refreshes with things like podcasts, where they're changing it up a little bit, changing the way the interface looks. I would expect more of this to carry over to more applications. We're also seeing it with music, for example. So we're seeing some changes with this a lot, and I think Apple will continue to make some of those changes carry across and be more consistent with other applications as well, such as the App Store. I expect this to have a slight redesign as well, where they may have some more interaction here, and I look forward to those. Now, one of the other big changes that is expected with iOS 15 is a complete redo of the control center. Now, we've had the one for a while where you swipe down from the upper right if you have a Face ID based phone, or you swipe up from the bottom if you have a Touch ID based phone. This is fairly inconsistent, and I think this could be a little bit different where it's more similar. And I see why they did that. When they had the swipe-based or gesture-based interface, you needed to change the location of it, but I would like to see this modified a little bit more. Now, I was never a huge fan of this particular control center because it's just a little bit too cluttered or too much stuff, in my opinion. I would like to have it a little bit more organized, and I know I can remove things, but I would like to be able to move these around more like widgets and maybe resize them. And hopefully we'll see something that makes this more efficient and more consistent across all devices, including iPad. So let me know what you would like to see with the control center and what you would change in the comments below, but we are expected to see some sort of change with it. Also, I would expect some redesigned icons, maybe to match Big Sur. Apple has made Big Sur available on the Mac, but nothing else matches it on the iPhone. There's a little bit more depth on Big Sur with, say, the Mail app, for example. Mail is very flat on iOS. I would like to see the icons gain some of that depth from Big Sur. I know some people don't like those icons, but you do get used to them, and I like them that they pop a little bit. So I would like to see something like that, maybe an updated settings icon, or things with a new design language that we have with Big Sur. I would welcome that on both iPhone and iPadOS and watchOS to have consistency across all platforms. That's something I would really look forward to. And so that's what's expected with iOS 15. What else is expected? I'm not sure. I would like to see some changes in the battery notifications, for example. And what I mean by that, it's not improved battery life, although I would welcome that, but rather battery health I would like to see changed so that it doesn't necessarily give you a percentage all the time, but rather just tells you when it's good or bad. I've talked about this at length before. I would like to see that, as this causes a lot of people anxiety, and I get questions about it almost daily. Also, in the battery, I would like an option to switch between, say, the last 10 days where it gives you a time of what your battery life is like, but also where it says this is your usage time over the past 24 hours. Because the last 24 hours, or since plugged in rather, because what it does now is just shows you 24 hours regardless if you're plugged in or not. And you can see these are the charge points here and here, and it's showing us that information, and that's not clear as to what our actual battery life is like over that time. So from from day to day, you may have a couple hours, even though you plugged it in, or you may not. So it's going to vary greatly. I would love to see them change that. Also, I'd like to see them update the iPhone 12 Pro Max for one-handed use. For example, when you pull down here, you get search. I would like to see the option to maybe switch that so that you could have your notifications pull down when you pull down like this. You have that ability in other platforms like Android. I would love to see them do that on iOS. And I prefer the security of iOS. And of course, I welcome any additional features as well. Also, I would love to see widgets be able to be placed wherever you want, or icons being placed wherever you want. On the iPad, we don't really have the same sort of setup with App Library, which I would like to see. And I would like the ability to put the widgets anywhere I want on the iPad. And that's really the main thing. Oh, and one big thing I forgot that may be coming is split view. Split view on the iPhone should be coming where you can put an application here and here at the same time. So just like on the iPad, for example, where you can go to, say, let's go to music, and then we can bring in another application. Let's bring in the App Store. We can slide that in and have two applications at the same time. Maybe we want to watch a music video over here and then browse the App Store or Safari or anything else. I would love to see that on the iPhone and then carry over to everything else. So hopefully we'll see some sort of split view as well. And so those are the things that we should see, as well as things that I would like to see. So all of those things hopefully will be coming soon. Maybe some additional features. I'm sure Apple usually includes about 100 changes when they release a new update, but expect the first one to be shown in June with early betas then. And of course, I'll be keeping you up to date as I know more. If you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, of course, I'll link it in the description like I normally do. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.